Welcome to Chamber Chat. I'm Judy Taylor, President of the Habersham County Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us. My guests today include Julie Bayer with the Piedmont College School of Nursing and Health Sciences program, the Member of the Month, and Jennifer Lunsford with the new Rahab's Rope on the Square in Clarksville. And my first guest is Julie Bayer. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
We
Glad
appreciate your being here today. And Julie, tell us a little bit about the Piedmont College Health Science programs.
Well, we're really excited about all the programs we've got. We've got a nursing program, and we have 6 other programs in our health sciences division. It includes sports and fitness management, healthcare management, cardiovascular technology, and athletic training, to name a few of those.
Those are interesting programs.
Yes.
I think I mentioned to you, I have a daughter who was an athletic trainer. Well, tell us a little bit more about the CVTE program and the athletic training.
Great. The athletic training program, we're real excited. We're having some changes to that. It's transitioning, just like in the nationwide trends, to a master's program. So we'll be moving from a bachelor's program into a 5-year, it's a 3+2. They'll do 3 years undergraduate and transition into the master's program. And that program will involve doing clinical and classroom with athletic trainers in high schools, colleges, clinics, and doctor's offices. The cardiovascular technology program is one of our newer programs. It's a 4-year program. We've partnered with Northeast Georgia Health's Heart Center, and they are working with us to provide a baccalaureate level, one of the few in the country, for cardiovascular.
This is just awesome.
Yes, it's exciting for the community.
It is exciting for the community, and when I go down to that Heart Center, and I see down there, it has, as the Northeast Georgia Medical Center down there, it has information on the Piedmont College program.
It does.
It is so interesting.
It's great for our students. They do their 3 years at Piedmont, and they do their entire last year on site there at the Northeast Georgia Health Center.
They are under some of the best doctors, in my opinion, in the world.
Absolutely.
I'm going to tell you why I'm saying that. Do you know who Dr. Tamala is?
I do. I've met him.
Well, he is my heart doctor.
Oh, okay.
And he is the best there is. I think, so you're with the best.
Great, great. Our students seem to really love the program. Very hands-on. They see patients every day that they're in the class.
When I first heard about this, and it was written up in the newspaper too, when I first read it, I was so excited about the quality.
Yes.
That you all have there.
Absolutely.
Some of the very best physicians. But anyway, our time is getting away. I know these programs require some accreditations or certifications.
They do. 3 of our programs, the nursing program, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit, the athletic training program and the cardiovascular technology program have just this year been accredited. And we got full accreditation, no recommendations, limited. So that's really great for our programs. It says a lot about the strength and quality of the program.
The first year, you got full
accreditation.
And no recommendations.
No recommendations for accreditation. A couple of areas that they would like for us to tweak, but just did a great job with the accreditation.
That's awesome too.
It is a lot of work, but a lot of
I have
effort.
dealt with accreditation a lot.
Yes.
And for you to get full accreditation and no recommendations.
Very good.
That is awesome. Well, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Let's go to the nursing program.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the nursing program.
Well, the nursing program has been a Piedmont staple for a number of years. We have a campus, of course, here in Demarest and in Athens. We admit about 90 students a year, and it's a baccalaureate program. It's a 4-year program, and our students do 2 years either here at Piedmont or 2 years somewhere else, transfer in and do their last 2 years of nursing with us. And we have a very rigorous program. It's 5 semesters starting in the summer. We've just started our new summer cohort. They're learning how to do vital signs and give baths as we speak today. They're doing simulations, and they're just having a great introduction into the nursing profession.
I'm so happy that you all have this program now, and it's a BSN.
It's a BSN program.
And that means that those students, when they get out, some of those students, probably after they've worked a little while, will be teachers themselves.
Some of them will. They'll go back and get their master's degrees and either come in and teach or become nurse practitioners, nurse anesthetists, other advanced practice options.
Well, tell us, you made some changes this year.
We did.
Tell us about it. I bet a lot of them involve technology changes, but I'm just guessing that.
They do. We've done a big curriculum review and looked at our curriculum, made some pretty good changes to it. We've added a couple of courses, streamlined a couple of courses. We're looking at the number of simulation hours that we have, and we're trying to go in and add those in selected courses where it seems like it's most appropriate for the students to have an experience perhaps in a simulated environment before they go into the hospital. Great example would be something this year that we're looking at doing is having a simulated code. So the students will go through and do a code like they would do in the hospital when a patient has a cardiac or respiratory arrest. They would go through this code in the simulation, do a debriefing, learn what they did right, learn what they need to improve on, and then that better prepares them for that situation in the clinical setting. So we're looking at really actively working on those simulations in our program.
It is just amazing what can be done with technology now, though, and I don't think you don't call them mannequins. What do you call? Do you call them?
Well,
mannequins?
we have some mannequins that don't have any capabilities, but we on each campus have a 3G simulator, which actually you can program, and it will speak, it will cry, you can create urine, tears.
It has
can make it cough.
too, does it not?
You can program them in symptoms. You can program in, for example, the student can be taking care of the mannequin and the blood pressure will just slowly decrease. And you've got to wait for the student to notice that the patient's blood pressure is now decreasing because it won't alarm. It'll give the student an opportunity to see, and they need to catch that. That's the critical thinking piece that they need to catch.
That is so interesting. But now you talked about your accreditation, but doesn't the nursing program have its own accreditation?
It does.
And it's different.
It is. We're under ASIN. There are two accrediting bodies for nursing, and we fall under ASIN, the Commission for Nursing Education, and we also just underwent an accreditation visit here in 2017. So that's our third accreditation.
You haven't had much sleep in a year or so.
No, but it was great.
Hard.
It was great. They were very happy with all the changes and updates that we've made, and we're waiting on the final result. It's a 3-step process, but we've cleared the first 2 steps. So in July, we'll get the final confirmation that we're accredited for the next 7 years. So we're very happy to hear that.
Well, I'm sure you'll have no problem getting that accreditation. But quickly tell us about your scores.
Oh, our scores are fantastic. Our 4-year average runs about 92% in the state. So if you pull up the Georgia Board of Nursing and look at the baccalaureate programs, we always rank in the top 3-4 for the state, for both of our campuses combined.
That is wonderful. Well, quickly, in 20 seconds, what's the future for your health science programs at Piedmont College? What do you see as the next big thing?
In one word, growth. Health sciences and healthcare professions are just growing, and we desperately need more of them. So we anticipate expanding our programs and continuing to look at technology and ways to deliver the program efficiently and professionally.
There's no doubt there will be growth.
Yes.
Julie, thank you for being on Chamber Chat.
Thank you so much
I've
for
learned
having
a
me.
lot.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, I really appreciate your being a guest, and we're going to take a short commercial break, and we will be right back. Please stay with us.
Something I really like people to think about is the fact that we do genuinely care about our customers.
We have that one-on-one connection and that one-on-one individuality.
Everybody knows who you are, who you're kin to. My name is Christina Bennett. I work as a customer care specialist for Windstream.
My name is Jerry Bradford. I'm a retail consultant in the Dahlonega retail store.
Our commitment is simple: provide a best-in-class customer experience through our network and our people.
Thank you for staying with us. My next guest is Glad Simmons, and she is a retired educator.
Correct.
And is now working with the Humane Society. I know you've got to be a volunteer.
I am. I'm on the board of directors, and I'm an active volunteer, and I'm just so excited to be here to talk about what the Humane Society of Habersham does, and appreciate especially the recognition from the Chamber of Commerce. I think we're on a roll. We've been incorporated since 1999, and I feel like things are really falling into place. We have a lot of active programs, and we're beginning to see some fruits of our labor. So I'm real excited to tell you about some of those things today.
I can't wait to hear more, Glad.
Thank you.
And I'm going to tell you that the Humane Society and the shelter are near and dear to my heart.
I can imagine.
I am very much into animal rescue myself. And I think you know that I have a daughter that's into it.
Yes.
And I just appreciate so much what they do. But Glad, tell us about the Habersham Humane Society. Tell us a little bit about it.
The Habersham Humane Society is associated with the Humane Society of the United States. We are a nonprofit. We have no overhead, no building, no utilities, no salaries. So everything that we raise in the way of money goes directly to help our four-legged friends in this area.
That's good. That's always good when you feel like you're donating and all of it goes to help the end product, not to pay administration and facilities and so forth. But something that I've wondered about, Glad, what is the relationship between the Habersham Humane Society and the animal shelter?
I'm really glad you want to know about that because that's one of the biggest challenges that we have. It's very confusing, and I understand why. In some communities, the shelter is run by someone associated with the Humane Society. In our particular case, that's not the way it's run. Our county shelter is run by county employees. They are salaried, and of course the budget for the shelter is set by the commissioners. I think most people realize, if they think about it, it's the John B. Guestbacher Animal Shelter, but that's a mouthful, so most people just call it the county shelter.
Right.
Habersham Humane Society really just partners with the shelter. So it gets confusing because we're there a lot. We really have it as one of our focuses this year in particular. It's to help the needs of the shelter. So I can see why people get it confused, but we field a lot of phone calls from people wanting us to come pick up stray animals or dog bites, and we have to refer them to the shelter. So if the sooner people figure that out, the more efficient those things can be.
So the Humane Society, you don't actually house animals, or, well, you have some out in foster homes, don't you?
Yes, we have foster care homes, and in fact, I wanted to tell you about one in particular, but this is another thing that's confusing because the shelter may have some foster homes, but so do we. We're considered similar to a rescue group. Here's a foster dog that I had a few years ago. This is Bo, and I wanted to just bring his picture to put a face to this. Bo was found by the side of the road. He was unhealthy. He had been hurt, it seemed like. So I ended up fostering Bo and eventually found him a forever home. So that's a case of where that dog never went to the shelter. So that's one of the things we're really proud of, is that many times we are able to rehome animals and keep that dog from having to go to the shelter and put a burden on the numbers there.
And also, it's so much better for the animal.
Absolutely.
Because if they never have to go to the shelter, they don't have that, and I hate to call it a traumatic experience. I don't think it's traumatic.
But it can be.
But for animals that are already afraid and have been mistreated and sometimes they have issues.
Well, and foster homes are a great way to kind of get over that problem, because as a foster parent, I can vouch for that animal. I can see its day-to-day behavior and its temperament, because you really can't judge how an animal's going to behave whenever it's only it's a traumatic place to be in that shelter, and they'll tell you that. It's loud, it's noisy, and there's all kinds of issues. So we can vouch for that animal, and that helps a lot.
Right.
The good thing about the fostering that we do with the Humane Society is most of our animals come to us, and we know how long the foster needs to last. We transport our animals out of the state to no-kill shelters. So usually the commitment is for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. So you don't have to worry about being stuck with that animal or being a foster failure, because I've done that in the past and ended up keeping those dogs.
Yes, and I told you that my daughter's and we're into rescue, and she has Road Trip Home.
Yes,
she co-founded Road Trip Home.
And that they help us to transfer our animals up to the Northeast where there are no-kill shelters.
Well, tell me, Glad, how are you funded, or do you just have no cost?
Oh, we are self-funding. We raise funds, and it comes primarily through 3 ways: donations from individuals. And we've really been doing a much better job of having business and corporate sponsors lately. Grant money is huge.
Yes.
And we find that once you're successful and you can apply for these grants and show them what you've been able to do, you get more grants. And then we have fundraising. We just had our 2nd annual golf tournament at the Orchard.
I know about that.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
As of today, I'm told that we're at about $23,000 this year. So we're just really over the moon happy with that.
Glad, that is wonderful.
Isn't it, though?
It is. And I have said this to somebody, that you can always get support for animals and children and really old people. That's people will help animals
Exactly.
and children too. But
We have a larger troop of volunteers than we've ever had, and we were able to pull this off with a lot of support. And like I said, especially a lot of community support through corporate sponsors.
that is wonderful.
Let me mention that Purina is one of the latest to come on board. They have agreed to provide food for our animal shelter. I know.
Isn't
that incredible?
awesome.
They're supplying the food, so that cuts down on some of the expense at the shelter, and that money can go for other needs.
This is wonderful.
Isn't it?
Goodness, what good news. But I got to get into this.
Okay.
The Humane Society and the shelter recently had a huge rescue that was all in the newspapers. It was in surrounding county newspapers.
Absolutely.
It was on the news. It was everywhere. Tell us about this big rescue.
This was just a heartbreaking situation, something that we never realized could happen in a little place like Habersham County. I believe it was over 400 animals involved in this. It is a pending case, so I'm going to be real careful about how I couch this, but we hope it will be resolved soon. It appears that this was a puppy mill and the animals were in terrible conditions. Some of them were. This would be an unbelievable burden on our community. But the Habersham County, I said, is associated with the Humane Society of the United States. They literally rolled into town, set up a tent, and they're experienced in what to do. And they set up triage, and we were able to evaluate those animals so quickly. This came under animal control in our county, but some of us went in and volunteered and continued to do that. I believe they said their expense would be about $200,000 for what they did here.
Wow.
And they are bearing that expense instead of our community having to bear that expense.
And all the animals that were at all healthy got homes.
Most of those were transferred out pretty quickly to rescue groups. That's why it's so nice to have this networking situation with different rescue groups. I would like to say there are 29 animals that are still being cared for.
Okay.
These are the ones that the particular people in this case have not given up control of. The county is still responsible for their care on a day-to-day basis, financially and physically. It's taking a lot of volunteers to take care of them. So we really hope this will be taken care of soon. If we have to integrate those 29 dogs into our shelter population, you can use your imagination at what has to happen at that shelter to make room for them.
Yes,
Because
it is.
the shelter is as crowded right now as it's ever been.
But Glad, I want to applaud you, all the volunteers, the Habersham Humane Society, and the shelter for the work that you all did with this huge rescue.
Well, the credit needs to go to Maddie Hawkins, the shelter director, and her crew. They worked around the clock.
I read about
I've seen pictures of them taking naps in the back of their truck. They worked around the clock, and they were overwhelmed. They were partly overwhelmed with people wanting to know, what can I do, and the phone ringing off the hook, and is my animal involved? And things have settled down now some, but this is the kind of things that they deal with all the time. And they do a great job. Our shelter is old and outdated, and as a community, we better be thinking about that soon.
Yes.
We need to think about that long term, but the credit goes to Maddie Hawkins and the other animal shelter volunteers.
Glad, I wish I could talk to you for many more minutes on this. There's so much we could say, but our time is up. But thank you for all that you do.
It's been a pleasure to be here.
And the Humane Society and the shelter together is the Chamber's Member of the Month. And I think when people heard what you just said, there's no question why you're Member of the Month.
Oh.
We know why you're Member of the Month. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you for having me, Judy. I appreciate it.
We're going to take another short commercial break. Please stay with us.
It's very true that once you take care of a customer, they're going to remember that.
That's what's so great about living and working in the same community. I'm able to have an impact with work, then I'm able to see these same people out in the community and get to know them on a personal level.
My name is Jerry Bradford. I'm a retail consultant.
My name is Hope Crawford. I am a business sales specialist with Windstream. Our commitment is simple: provide a best-in-class customer experience through our network and our people.
Thank you for staying with us. My last guest today is Jennifer Lunsford with the new Rahab's Rope store on the square in Clarksville. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited about your being on. Now, Jennifer, I believe that your family started Rahab's Rope with a store in Gainesville.
Yes, ma'am.
And now you have expanded to Clarksville.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're operating the Clarksville store.
Yes, ma'am.
And this store, or it's really more like a program or a ministry is what it's like, has the most unique story. I cannot wait for our audience to hear about it. So tell us, how did the organization begin and when did it begin?
Well, Rahab's Rope is 13 years old. We're a 13-year-old organization. My mother, Vicki Moore, is who started Rahab's Rope. So she and my dad and myself took a trip to India back in 2002 to see about some work with orphans, and then quickly realized the need for the women in the red light area there in India. So we met with an Indian pastor who kind of gave us direction on the issue, and everything kind of started from that point. And then when my mother came home, she watched a YouTube video, and back then you didn't hear of sex trafficking. It just wasn't talked about. It happened, but no one ever talked about it. So she saw a YouTube video of a young girl who said, you know, I'm not looking for a handout. I just want somebody to teach me, to give me an opportunity. So that just struck a chord with her, and so she quickly realized, you know, what she needed to do.
That's why I called it a ministry. I know that it's got to be Christian-based.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's almost as if your parents just had a burden for this, and they have just actually committed their lives to it.
They have.
And you're following right in their footsteps, I guess you'd say.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is just such a wonderful story. But how has the organization changed through the years? Well,
when we first started back in 2004, it took us a couple of years to kind of really get things going. So back in 2004 is when it started. And we started in one city in India, in Bangalore. And so we started working with women there with an aftercare program. So over the years, as we've grown, we're now in 4 cities in India, and we do work on the prevention side with children. We do direct intervention in a brothel, and then we have our aftercare programs where the women make the products that we sell.
Mm-hmm. And the products that you sell in your stores, some of the proceeds or the money from the proceeds help these victims.
Yes, ma'am. That provides them and their families with a source of income, and also, you know, provides them with rehabilitation. I mean, making the jewelry and the sewing items is very therapeutic to the women, and so then we develop relationships with them, and we send the products here. They're paid before we sell the products, which is a great thing, that we don't have to wait for the products to sell, you know, before.
It's not like consignment.
Right. So, but we have our store in Gainesville on the square on Washington Street, and then we have our store in Clarksville on Washington Street. So
I think that's unique that both your stores are on Washington Street in different towns.
Yes.
But that is interesting. But tell us about your business model and your funding, because it's just so different.
Yes, ma'am. Well, 55% of our funding does come from product sales, and then we receive donations throughout the year as well from individuals or organizations. So in our 2 stores, we sell handmade products by the women we work with, and they make natural stone and freshwater pearl jewelry, and then sewing items. And then as we've expanded over the years, we've realized that, you know, it'd be good to bring other artisan work into our stores as well. So we've partnered with different artisan groups and similar organizations so that we can all work together. But everything that our women make that we work with, we give them those sales. That money goes to them. So then we've brought in products from different artisan groups or different organizations, and through those product sales, we're able to fund our organization, all the overhead and admin costs, because we don't want to take away from the women.
Well, Jennifer, I have been into your store, and the products are beautiful. I go in and I'm just amazed at how beautiful the products are, and the products certainly don't look like anything just homemade. They might be handmade, but they don't look homemade, and they are beautiful. And you have such a wide variety of different articles.
Yes, ma'am. That's one thing that people always say when they come into our stores is the quality of our products. They don't look, homemade. They are handmade, but we use freshwater pearls and natural stones, and the quality of their work and their talents is amazing. But that is one thing that we've noticed over the years that people say is they're just, amazed by the quality of the products that we sell. So,
I know that I bought a basket there.
yes, ma'am.
And the baskets are beautiful. And the thing about it is you will not find anything else anywhere like you will find in your store. And what makes me feel so good is anything I buy in there, I know it's helping somebody.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just love what you're doing there. Now, you and your family started this, you're so into it. Do you have speaking engagements? Do you go out and speak about this?
Yes, ma'am. Churches will contact us and ask us to come speak about it to their women's group or holiday events they might be having. Any event they have at their church, they can call us. Even individuals, can call us. We can come speak to their women's group. But we usually take product with us, so we'll set up a display of the jewelry and sewing items and sell the product there at the events. But we'll usually talk first, and then we have plenty of literature to share about the organization, and if people are purchasing gifts, they have plenty of literature to take with their gifts that tells about the products.
Well, I hope the people listening, the churches and the people listening, will have you or your mother, I've met your mother too, out to talk about this, because it is such a wonderful program and it goes for such a great cause.
Yes.
And as you said, the victims that it helps, these are people who, some of them are born into sex trafficking.
Yes, ma'am.
They have no way out except for someone to educate them and try to help get them out.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's just all they know too. So.
And that's why I feel, well, we all do, we feel it's so important for us and for other organizations to all kind of come together so that we can bring more awareness and we can sell these beautiful handmade products and people can purchase with a purpose and be able to give these women and children opportunity that they would never have.
Absolutely. Jennifer, thank you so much for what you and your family do.
Thank you.
And I wish that we had more time, but our time is up. But I always end with a quote. And my quote today is inspired by you, your parents, Rahab's rope, and it is by Albert Einstein, though. And it says, "Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile." Thank you for joining us. I will see you next time.